Hello, my name is George Humphreys from Ashridge Canicrossers. Having the right harness will make things enjoyable for both you and your dog. We can complain if we find a pair of shoes that don't fit. Finding something that fits your dog, as far as harness is concerned, can be a little bit of trial and error. Getting the size right to start with is a good point, but you'll often find your dog will run better in a certain style of harness than another. Ideally, find a club when you're starting out in Canicross, because a club will often have equipment for you to try out. Having access to multiple types of harness will allow you to go out, run with the dog and try different harnesses, and you'll see which ones your dog is most comfortable in and happiest to run in. When you're starting out, can you use a walking harness? Yes, it's not ideal, but as long as it is not restricting his breathing in any way when the dog starts to pull, you can use a walking harness. It is important that your dog is comfortable and able to breathe. Some walking harnesses are also designed to put pressure on your dog when the dog pulls. So those styles of harness obviously are no good for using in Canicross. Dog harnesses, you have full-length harnesses and shoulder harnesses. A full-length harness, it sits around the dog's neck at this end. The dog's legs, front legs come through, and the tail of the harness would sit towards the tail of the dog. Typically, where the tail joins the body is where the end of the long harness would sit. You want to have a nice bit of air, free airways here, so that when the harness is pulling, it's not restricting the dog's breathing. Here's another style of long harness. This is a very popular harness. You adjust this so that it sits where the tail joins the body of the dog. To fit this type of harness, we fold the harness up, feed the dog's head through. This style of harness requires you to feed both front legs through. I advise not doing them both at once, just one at a time. And you fold the dog's leg, and the dog puts up, fold, and the dog picks up, and then you line the harness up and you adjust the straps. Good boy, Chester. Then you have a cross between a shoulder and a full-length harness. It moulds round the dog's body to give a nice, comfy fit. You fold the leg forward and tuck it through there, and then clip this harness. This is the one he runs in. Then sits. You can see why where the clip would sit. It sits at the joint of his tail to the bottom of his body. There's plenty of space around the front for the dog to breathe. The harness does not interfere with the shoulder movement, which is important, and even when pulling tight, this is not pulling here, so it is not restricting the dog's breathing in any way. Another style of this is more of a shoulder type harness. Dog's head fits through here, sits nicely around. This part, the point of the V, ideally wants to sit on the top of the breastbone, which is here on your dog. You can feel it as you go down the dog's throat, you'll find the breastbone. That's where the top of the V ideally wants to sit, and this will sit up on the top of the dog's wither. This is easier to put on. You don't need to feed dog's legs through, you just clip up either side and then you hook your bungee line onto here. This is the same, just a little larger. This is another style of shoulder harness. And you fold the dog's leg up, good boy, and sit it around. As you can see, this is nice and high up over the shoulder. Good amount of breathing space. The joint's sitting on the wither, this is sitting on his chest bone, and I use this personally on this dog for walking. It's a great harness for walking, lovely. We walk up and down the dales and he's really comfy. the clip is quite close to the neck of the dog. That's why it's called a shoulder harness. Where you have a clip like this, what I do is I actually use an old bit of inner tube to cover the clip on the bungee line. So I can feed this back to reveal my clip on, and then I feed my inner tube over the top, and what I find that does, it just protects the dog's back from any bashing or anything of the clip. It's just something I do for the shoulder harnesses when I'm fitting those. Other styles of shoulder harness, these are both the same. On this style of harness, there's a nice pad to protect the dog's back from the clip when it's clipped in. So you don't need to use a bit of inner tube or something like that, because this pad here is designed to protect the dog's back from it. And just to show you, little dogs aren't forgotten about, here's a harness for a terrier sized dog. So we have all different shapes and sizes, and if you go to a club, they'll have a lot of equipment available for you to try out on your dog, and you'll have someone hopefully with a bit of experience. They'll be able to fit them to your dog and show you how they fit actually on your dog. And you can't beat hands-on actually getting your dog and trying the different styles of harness on. And then you as a runner can go out for a run, see how it feels, watch the dog, and if you get the right harness, then go out and buy from the retailers that are out there. And there are some very good retailers. Now, I don't have to lift the dog's feet up to fit this, but it can be clearly seen that this harness doesn't fit. At the front of the dog, the harness is too low. It's impacting his, when you put any pressure, this is going to sit on his shoulders and stop him moving freely. Shoulders on a dog are not actually physically attached to anything. They're just held in place with muscles and tendons. So you don't want something that's going to impair his movement. When you look here, under the chest, this is not sitting in the right place. This is obviously not designed. It's designed to be sat there, not right back here. This is into his stomach. So when he pulls, this is going to be coming up into his tummy, and it's not going to be comfortable for the dog. So this is a really bad fit for this dog. I wouldn't run the dog in this. Doesn't fit this dog, however, it might fit another dog perfectly. One thing to look at on a harness, whilst I was talking about underneath the dog, is dogs have nipples. When you do put a harness on, just ensure it's not rubbing on the tops of the nipples. I'm a bloke, we get jogger's nipple, and it's painful. You don't want your harness rubbing your dog's nipples either. The harness wants to sit nice and snug and hopefully avoid these. They can get quite sensitive. Fitting a harness to a long-haired dog is the same as fitting the harness to a short-haired dog, except you can't often see the body. However, they still have the clavicle in the same place, they still have the end of the breastbone. There's something else you have to consider as well. When you fit a harness to a long-haired dog, once you've put it in place, what you need to do is get your hands in here to bring their fur forward to get the harness to sit nice and close into the dog's skin, so that when you pull on the harness, it's not pulling on their hair. But now you can see, having fitted the harness onto the dog, the actual harness, you can now hardly see because it's now into the skin and sat on the skin. Okay? And when you pull, there isn't any pressure on the hair. So that's what you've got to be aware when you've got a long-haired dog. Just get your hand in and flick that hair forward. Good boy.